We are presenting the meaning of the moon landing in the short story The Third and Final Continent. First of all, I will present the table of content. We start with facts, then go on with Neil Alden Armstrong, the story behind the moon landing, the third and final continent, and end with the meaning of the moon landing in the short story. About the facts. The crew itself had 3 members, who were Neil Armstrong, Michael Collins, and Edwin Aldrin. In addition, it was a replacement team, a support crew, and a flight director. About the Apollo 11, it was the largest rocket developed by the USA to date. It has a height from 111 meters and weighs 2,900 tons. And now about the facts of the moon. It has got a surface temperature from minus 178.15 degrees Celsius to 116.85 degrees Celsius. Its diameter is about 3,476 kilometers. Its surface structure is cratered and fluted, and the distance from the Earth is about 384,400 kilometers. Now about Neil Alden Armstrong. He was born on the 5th August in 1930 in Ohio, United States, and he died on the 25th of August in 2012. He aged 82 years old and also in Ohio, United States. His parents are Viola Lewis and Stephen Koenig Armstrong. And he has 2 siblings, 1 younger sister and 1 younger brother. Neil studied aeronautical engineering. In 1950, he served for the Navy. In 1955, he became a NASA test pilot, and in 1962, he became an astronaut. Moving on to the story behind the moon landing. It was on the 20th of July in 1969, where the first Apollo moon landing happened at 9:17 p.m. And on the 21st of July in 1969, Neil Armstrong took his first step at 3:56:20 a.m. 5 landings were following afterwards, and the last one happened in 1976. The whole program was organized by the NASA, which is called National Aeronautics and Space Administration, which was founded in 1958 in Washington, D.C. The whole planning began in 1965 with first G missions. The mission A till F were tests, and G was the actual landing. The whole Apollo program went from 1961 until 1972. These testings were made in the Gemini program. And the whole plan was about winning against the Soviet Union.
I'm going to step off the limb now. That's 1 small step for man, 1 giant leap for mankind.
Now about the moon landing. We now would like to present a fun fact to you. The A before man was added to the famous sentence owing to one could not understand it in the radio communications. And the costs of the whole mission were at that time $23.9 billion. They raised to $120 billion. So it's likely 400,000 people who were employed. The third and final continent is following, which is a short story by Jhumpa Lahiri. The story is about the third-person narrator who is moving to Boston from India to study. He rents a room in the house of the landlady Mrs. Croft. And so he gets a new routine, which includes working in the university library and afterwards coming home and having a chat with Mrs. Croft, who wants the narrator to repeat Splendid. She loves the moon landing, which happened when the narrator moved into her house. We now talk about the meaning of the moon landing in the short story. Like the astronauts, the narrator is exploring an unknown world. Boston, furthermore, is as foreign to the narrator as the magnificent desolation of the moon is to the astronauts. The moon symbolizes the journey into the foreign and unknown and expresses the feeling of being alone. And the journey, on the other hand, expresses the narrator's and wife's journey and Mrs. Croft's journey through 103 years of lifetime. which included technological achievement marked by the moon landing. Moreover, immigrants leave their home country, so they go into the unknown new world and have to spend years assimilating into the new culture. So, the meaning of the moon landing asserts that ordinary immigrant journeys like the narrators are as extraordinary as special voyages like the moon landing. Nevertheless, the American flag symbolizes the American power. The American power is compared to the narrator's power to stick to his goals. Now we also have an interesting quote for you from the narrator itself. Still, there are times I am bewildered by each mile I have traveled. Each mile I have traveled, each meal I have eaten, each person I have known, each room in which I have slept. As ordinary as it all appears, there are times when it is beyond my imagination. Line 6052 to 6055. To end up our presentation, we have a quiz for you. The first question is, what year did Neil Armstrong became an astronaut? Answer A, 1950, B, 1955, C, 1962, or D, 1967. And the correct answer is C, in 1962. The second question, how long did it take for Neil to take the first step on the moon? A, 4 hours and 42 minutes, B, 5 hours and 39 minutes, C, 3 hours and 12 minutes, or D, 4 hours and 58 minutes. The correct answer is B, 5 hours and 39 minutes. Our last question is, how many times is splendid repeated in the short story? A would be 6 times, B would be 10 times, C 8 times, or D 13 times. And the correct answer is B. The word splendid is repeated 10 times. To come to an end, we want to thank you all for listening and watching this video. Goodbye.